Now, as a certified clinical EFT practitioner, this is probably the one area of trauma that I deal with the most with my clients, and that is developmental trauma. And it's called developmental trauma for a reason. It's because this is the sort of trauma that people experience when they're growing up and they're developing and their brains are still developing and they're still kind of learning how to navigate the world. So developmental trauma happens during childhood. It tends to be chronic, or it happens enough times that it begins to imprint limiting beliefs on the psyche in the subconscious. Like, for example, if one was abandoned or neglected or abused by a parent, a child may not feel like they're safe in the world. They don't even just have the basic foundation of feeling safe in the world, right? They can't even trust the world because they can't even trust their guardian or their parent to be there for them, to provide nurturing, to provide love, and to provide support. And as you can see these different examples, if a child is repeatedly criticized or put down by a parent, if a child is gaslit by a parent, I don't know if anybody here has ever heard their parents say, "What are you upset about? What are you crying about? You have no reason to be crying." It's that sort of thing, because that's the way the parent probably was taught how to deal with their emotions by their parents. And they carry on that pattern of behavior and they imprint that on the child. And that's just the way intergenerational trauma kind of gets passed on. And if you've heard any of these before, I'll give you something to cry about. Why are you upset? It's not a big deal. Children are meant to be seen and not heard, that sort of thing. So developmental trauma can have a real huge impact on a person as they're developing and when they become an adult. And we're going to talk about the effects of developmental trauma. And this is what I see a lot in my work with clients. A lot of clients come to me with a low self-image, a poor self-image, or they have problems trusting themselves, like they don't even know who they are, or they just have problems in their relationships and they have poor attachment styles. You've heard of probably of anxious attachment style, avoidant attachment style, fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment styles. A lot of this comes from not having a secure attachment with one's parent, with their mom or with their dad. Maybe it was a disorganized, chaotic home environment where at one minute they were loving and nurturing, and the next they were screaming and yelling at you or putting you down. So it was very chaotic, and you didn't know what was up and what was down, what was left and what was right. So you just basically don't have a secure sense of secure attachment, and that can be carried over into relationships as adults. And I mean, you can read through this. It causes difficulty trusting others. It can cause a person to become a people pleaser as an adult, putting other people's needs ahead of your own. Codependency, which is very common. And then, of course, emotional regulation and response issues, like just having difficulty with handling one's emotions, maybe not even be able to express one's emotions because they were conditioned at an early age that maybe it's scary or it's not appropriate to express your emotions because what happened? You were criticized. You were maybe made fun of. Or maybe you saw your mom and dad screaming and yelling, and in the back of your mind as a child, you're like, oh my God, they look crazy. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to be crazy. So you would shut down your anger and shut down whatever strong emotions you had because you don't want to look crazy, right? And trust me, this is the kind of stuff that happens when I work with my clients. It's incredibly common, very common.